Hello and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm, where I try and figure out how to live sustainably on 300 square metres in the city. Today we're in the garden. It desperately needs a tidy up. Everything is growing all on top of each other. Some things have sort of died off, there are some things still producing, and I just need to try and get in there and rationalise it. I have been sort of slowly harvesting some stuff, so as the pumpkins have been drying off, I have been the stalks essentially that come into the pumpkin, they have to go sort of brown and gnarly and dried off, and then you can snip them off and bring them inside. So when they've been drying off and their sort of particular branch of the vine has sort of died off, I've been snipping them off and bringing them in. Can you see those pumpkins up there on the top? Shall I point? Up there. So I've been bringing the pumpkins in and popping them up there when they've been ready. Of course, all the tomatoes I've been bringing in, we've still got trays of tomatoes. Not as much now as we were in the middle of summer. And the other thing I've got now are things, seed saving going on. So pods drying off for the beans and tomatoes identified and for the seed saving, those types of things. My bean canes are looking incredibly sad hanging up, but I'm leaving those now for seed. Another thing I really want to do is do some direct sowing in the garden, because the ground is still quite warm, so they should germinate, I think. So I'm going to try and do some direct sowing. I've also got some seedlings to pot on. I need to do a bit more seed sowing. So that's sort of the key thing. The tidying I really want to get my hands on, but to be honest, it's probably not probably not the most urgent thing to do, shall we say. So first of all, I've got to clear the chicken coop out, and then I'll get into the garden and do some other jobs. Anyway, let's get into the garden. I just thought I'd show you what the chickens do to the compost pile. Excuse me, girlies. So this, the other day, was a very neat pile of compost, and as you can see, they have been through it and completely disarrayed it. Haven't you, girlies? Hey? Is that what you've been doing? Yes, that's right. You've been in there kicking it about, haven't you? Yes. Anyway, this is what makes such wonderful compost. Because probably, as you can see, what they're getting at is this bit here, underneath the compost pile, is all the worms and the bugs in the compost. So what I will do now is scrape that to the side, dig out the compost that is made underneath there that they've been going into, and I will chuck that over there. Then I will pile all of this up back onto that pile, and then add new material from the garden on top of that. And then the whole process starts again, and they will kick it all about. I do this, I clean the chickens out about once a week, and this process happens every week, and it's very efficient at making compost. Okay, I have dug out the compost. The girlies have it over there now, and they are picking through it and enjoying every minute. And this is the compost heap that was. I don't know if you can see. It's much lower now, and then all that material that I've moved to the side I will put back on the pile and then put fresh stuff on top. The next thing I need to do is a little bit of potting up. I sowed these in toilet rolls a little while ago, and there's multiples in a toilet roll, so I need to actually put them into a separate cell so they can grow on a bit, and then they're easy to plant out into the garden. I've got some recycled punnets from the garden centre, and we'll need a trowel. Okay, this should do it. Gloves, trowel, dibber. I'll probably need something else in a minute, but anyway. This I think should do the job. Will I need this? Not for the minute. No, let's put this in my pocket. Right, first off, I sowed some cucumbers. I don't know why. Rush of blood to the head. Anyway, they've come on quite nicely, just going into winter, so, well, we're in autumn, so they've got a chance. So I'll pot those up. I've got some slightly bigger pots for those because, yeah, it'll give them a bit more chance to do something. Although they're not looking that happy. We'll see. have these drip tray things that I found again in the recycle bin at the garden centre. So yeah, they have holes in, pretty good, and they work quite nicely in my coal frames which I have out here. So I think I'll pop them into there. Alright, let's do another one. This in here is just sort of some old compost which I've had, like pots that have finished and what have you, and I generally just bung it all in here. So if I'm just doing seedlings, I just reuse the compost. Seems to work, you know. Right. What's the labels? Stick it in there. These are quagwas. I got the seeds, I think there's about 10 in a packet. I've sowed them 3 different ways at completely different times, and nothing, absolutely nothing has happened. So I can't recommend the quagwas. C-U-A-I-G-U-A, I think, but yeah. Sowed another 4, not any of them come up. I won't be getting those again, I don't think. Unless anybody's got any ideas as to why they've not germinated. No, they've just rotted. So this isn't rocket science. Literally, I'm just making a little hole, teasing them apart, putting the roots in, pressing them down. That's it. Being very delicate with the stems, because brassica stems are really snappable. They sort of, yeah, they're quite brittle, I've found. So yeah, so I'm quite careful with the stems. Now you might ask, why have I done these in toilet rolls if I'm now taking them out of toilet rolls? And the answer is because they were just there and I was in a real hurry, and they all already had soil in them because I was planning to put corn. I was planning to sow some corn, which I never got around to, and there they were, all filled up with soil, and it was just really easy to pop in the seeds that I wanted, which happened to be brassicas, just to get them going. Usually I sort of do these things just slowly and gently as I go along. But of course, with the wedding, there was a big sort of gap when I really wasn't paying any attention to the garden whatsoever. So yes, so there's a sort of gap in my sowing. So I just literally put these in quite quickly, because brassicas do take quite a long time. I think they're about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks or something in seedling stage. They do take quite a while, so they, you know, yeah, I wanted to get them on, and I happen to have these pots, happen to have the filled toilet bowls just there looking at me. So I thought, ha! Anyway, I will get on with these and bring you back once they're all done. I have pricked them out, given them a really firm tamp down because they're brassicas and they like having a really strong, well pressed down root. I've given them a good water and I've popped them in the cold frame. It's actually overcast and it's sort of afternoon now, so I will leave the lid down for today, but tomorrow is supposed to be sunny, so I will open the lid up then, because obviously it would get too hot for them in there with the sun out, because it's still that time of year where it can get quite hot in the day. My next job is just to fill up some of those little 6 punnet trays. I like to have a few filled up because then I can pop them in the conservatory, and probably tomorrow I'll throw a few more seeds in there. But if I have them all filled up with soil, it's much easier than just from the house to pop into the conservatory and just sow what I want when I want it. And as usual, I'm just putting all my tools away. Notice that I didn't use any of the tools I got out. I just used my fingers. So I have lovely tools, but these are much better often. I should actually put a caveat to that, except this tool. This tool is a new tool that is invaluable. So what I've discovered is that the end of this milk bottle is exactly the diameter of those toilet rolls. So this was cut off anyway because basically I generally bury those in next to my squash plants, my cucumbers and things like that, so it's easier to water right down to their roots. But when it's not summer, well, I have quite a few of these floating around, and I discovered it's brilliant. You put that in the toilet roll, put all your compost in there, and this is a jiggling stick. You basically just diggle it and poke it so it goes in, and then lift it on and off onto the next one. It's brilliant. DIY and free. I don't generally do harvest videos because we harvest from the garden every day, but I thought I would show you today's harvest. We've got some pumpkins, we've got tomatoes, we've got courgettes, peppers, beans for drying, an onion, some apples, 2 varieties, and some runner beans, and some blackberries. And that's just one day. It's amazing. Off 300 square meters in the city. Okay, so it's the next day now. I'm in the garden and I'm actually going to take out these sunflowers. I really love sunflowers because they grow, they look beautiful, they remind me of Provence, they attract the insects, there are lots of bumblebees. It's great. And then afterwards I chop the heads off of the flowers and I give them to the chickens so the chickens enjoy the seeds. And now what we've got is the stalks left. I leave these to get quite strong and then I'll chop them off, and they make really great supports for things like peas to grow up. So I'm going to chop these out now because I want to do some direct sowing, and I'm hoping that I can get some direct sowing in the ground while the ground is still warm. Anyway, that's the plan. The first thing I've got to do is this rampicante has come right over here and is climbing through, holding on to the top of this sunflower stalk. So I've got to redirect that first. Is it going to come off? It doesn't want to let go. Some string, I think. This will probably get really big now and get in the way, but it'll do. It's really at the end of its life anyway, it's not doing that much more. And the rampicantes off here have been really sort of mutant. I'll have to show you. I have got the weirdest looking thing up on the top. It grew on top of the bicycle wheel that's in the middle of Crystal Palace. And I haven't actually got it down, but it's a massive, massive, great curly mutant thing. Let me show you. Take a look at that. That's quite a mutant beast, isn't it? I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it down from there. Yeah. Definitely a stepladder involved, I think. Just having to reinforce my bits of string. It's that time of year when the bean poles are all at a really wonky angle and I've got bits of string sort of shoring them up and holding them up. I don't know if you can see it, but that's what this bit, you can't see it, that's out of shot. But there's a bunch of bits of string that are going across from Crystal Palace, Marble Arch, and trying to hold the bean structures up. They've only just got to hold up a little bit longer now because essentially they're there just for seed saving. So yeah, it won't be too many weeks before I have them out, but yeah, they're pretty precarious. I think we're going to need the big guns actually because they're quite thick stalks. Okay, that's it cleared. I'm just really going to put a little bit of compost on there now and then sow some Swedes. Sow some Swedes. Thinking ahead of myself, I'm going to sow some seeds, one of which is Swede. Now I know we're in Auckland and we can't grow Swede, but why not? I'm going to try. So I've got some swede, some mustard, and also some beetroot to go into this bed. All of those I can sow directly into the soil. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll cover it up with a bit of mesh or frost cloth or something just to stop the birds getting into it and digging it all up. Using this compost from yesterday that I put in here, the girls have already been all over it, and so it's good stuff ready to go onto the garden. Hey girls, you've been through it. You've been through it. Hmm? I'm going to employ some good foot power. Who needs a rake? Okay, that'll do it. Ready to sow. Right, if this kale will stay out of my way, I'm ready to sow. I've got some swede, champion purple top. I've got some golden Detroit beetroot, and I've got mustard giant red. Now, according to the website, the King's website, beetroot and swede are around 10 centimetres apart, mustard about 5 centimetres apart. So I'll just put some in. That's my general technique. Yeah, just put some in and then cover it and see what comes up. Finger, use my finger. Little hole, 10 centimetres apart. Right, all done. Bit of a water, cover it up, and we're finished. It's going to be the right size. Better size, I think. Try that. That should deter them just a bit, I think. Rocks are next. Okay, job done. Covered up just to keep the birds off. Sown in, watered. Took me hardly any time at all. Now we have to just wait and see if they come up. Fingers crossed. These two back beds, they will lose the sun as we go into winter, so if I can get something growing now, it's got a better chance than if I leave it till later and it's got a very short window for sun. So that's the idea. As you can see, the sun is coming in here, just the front part, so the front will probably do better than the back bit, but if I can grow something, that'll be a win. Okay, so these are my new canes. I've just trimmed all the side shoots and leaves off and popped those into the chickens. And also the seed heads that we're just finishing, which they've enjoyed. And now I'm just going to pop them around the back and they will dry for growing things up in spring. Okay, I think I'll call it quits for today. It was a lovely afternoon, so I just thought I'd come out and just do that one little bit of a bed. And that's done, and I feel quite pleased with that now that it's all set and ready to go. I will leave it alone now, walk away and let nature take care of what's going to happen or not happen. So anyway, I will see you next week. Bye!